to you live from my own bedroom this time is Captain JJB84. And with me is my partner in crime, my espionage of espionage, Bandit Incorporated. How you doing today, buddy?
How's it going, man?
Good. All right. Today we're going to talk about the major films of this summer. We're going to talk about Apes, Transformers, possibly X-Men, and Godzilla. So we're going to start from the most recent. So let's start with Planet of the Apes. We both liked it, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's getting pretty much all good reviews. I mean, the only negative things I've heard have been some people saying maybe the apes were a little bit too human, but that's kind of the idea. And some people saying maybe like. And some people saying that, like, if you changed it from apes to just, like, Indians and you had Indians and settlers, then it would just be a generic movie, which I suppose is kind of true. And I suppose it was a little bit light on, like, the social commentary. But to be fair, I reckon only, like, the very first Planet of the Apes movie, that was the only one that really had social commentary. None of the others, none of the other sequels had social commentary. It was just sort of talking about how this world came about.
Watched a couple of those old ones. Some of them are really weird.
Yeah, especially the second one.
Yeah. But my favorite thing was, I mentioned this in my review, I like seeing the ape society, how like Caesar has built that up, versus how the humans are basically just trying to survive, how they're so unorganized, they're falling apart. So I loved seeing that. That was great, I thought.
Yeah, me too. I mean, what I wonder about is because in the original movies, they've got like the sort of ape religion is the great lawgiver, and I'm trying to remember if the lawgiver was called Caesar, whether Caesar will become the lawgiver, or maybe it'll be Blue Eyes, his son Blue Eyes or what have you. But you could see with Maurice, the bit where Maurice is like teaching all the little apes, and you can see they've got their philosophy written on the wall.
Yeah. I thought that was like, oh wow, they're teaching them how to write, or they know how to write. I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
Well, there was a little nod there too, because they have it in the first Planet of the Apes. They talk a little bit about the apes have like a caste system that had just recently been abolished, and orangutans were sort of the intellectual sort of type. So you see that with Maurice, the only orangutan is the teacher. Yeah. So you can sort of see the beginning of it. Yeah.
He's also like sort of like a mentor to, like, Caesar's son. So that was nice.
I was glad
and to the humans in a way. So
I was glad Maurice didn't die, because he got shot by Cobra at that bit where Cobra's like, yeah, and he's just shooting everything. But then you see the bullet like just grazed past his face. So that's good. You can't kill Maurice. Maurice is awesome.
I remember he has one spoken line of dialogue, and
I
thought, oh, okay. He's good. Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
That growly kind of run. That thing that he does.
Yeah. I was like, did you have James Earl Jones dub that? Because it sounded so like,
all the apes have got Batman voices. Yeah. Apparently
taking a page from Batman, people. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But what was another thing I like? I absolutely love the ending where Jason Clarke, Malcolm, he sort of realizes that it doesn't matter what we do, there's no way that we can coexist. I absolutely thought that was like just perfect.
Yeah. Well, there was actually I just saw earlier today, there was originally a different ending, which is they were going to have that scene, and then they were going to have a big battle scene of like Caesar taking on like the military. And they decided to cut that and leave it just more on that sort of bittersweet ending. I think that's much better. Because we sort of already had the big action thing, so if they threw in another one, you'd be like, oh, okay.
There's also just the way that was like, the ending was, like, it was him standing and all the apes are like gathered in front of him, like, what is your leader, or Caesar, or whatever. I thought that just looked really cool. So
makes you wonder about the next movie, though, isn't it? Because I guess Caesar's going to be living up to his name and going full-on military general, taking on the humans and that. But I don't know, it seems weird because he's more of sort of like... Caesar's always been like violence as a last resort. So
Yeah.
for him to be like a full-on military dude, it's going to be kind
Maybe.
of strange, I reckon.
I don't
wonder
know.
how
We'll
they're
see.
gonna
I
do
mean,
it.
if it's done in a, like if it's done in like a way that it feels natural, then I guess
Hmm.
fine. I mean, I like the creative team behind this. They were working at their very best. So if they can do that again, then I say we got a great third film to look forward to.
Yeah,
So,
without a doubt. Well, I was thinking because like one thing they still need to introduce is
mhm,
because we're like working back towards the original Planet of the Apes, is they
mhm.
need to make it that humans can't talk because you know how in that humans were all stupid and they couldn't speak.
Yeah, yeah,
So I was thinking maybe in the next one they'll make it like because all the people we saw in Dawn, they said how they had like a natural immunity to the simian flu. So
yeah,
like maybe in the next movie they'll be like, we thought we had a natural immunity, but it's just slowly eroding, our mind, and our voices will be the first to go.
maybe.
That's probably how they're
That'd be
gonna.
really interesting, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that's probably how they're gonna do it. That humans lose their powers of speech, and yeah,
Mm.
like maybe they'll say if we can find the original apes that got the flu, then we can work out a cure. So they could be after Caesar for that reason. That could maybe be the premise. I don't know,
I don't know.
but
Yeah. Good question though. What do you think the title will be called? Because Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn of the Planet of the Apes are weird mouthfuls to say for titles.
yeah, it's
So
Rotpota and Dotpota is the short
I
version.
didn't realize the other day until I knew what you actually meant by DOTPOTA. I'm like, what does that mean? Then I'm like, then I went to see the movie. I'm like, oh, now I get it.
You haven't heard it called that? Well, I think some of the writers involved they just said it will be War of the Planet of the Apes because see
Well,
they can't
that
use
sounds like a good
battle
title.
because they can't use battle because that's already been taken in the original movies. They can't use conquest, that's already been done. So I mean, war is kind of the only really word you could use to describe it. But that'd be Watpota.
Uh, what POTA? We're running out of silly abbreviations. I don't know.
Oh, by the way, I found out that you know how we were talking about Maurice before.
Yeah.
Apparently, the motion capture for Maurice, that's actually a woman.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, it's actually this big black
Oh,
lady.
who's the actress?
I don't know.
If it was
I don't know.
CCH Pounder, then I'd be happy, but I don't think it is, so I don't know.
Yeah, but
Oh.
Koba almost stole the story, didn't he? I really liked
Really?
Koba actually.
Maurice or Koba?
I think Koba almost stole the show, though. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, I was reading something on that on IGN. They said, but they were sort of, it was a video saying who made the movie more, Caesar or Koba?
Hmm.
Yeah, Koba. Like, I think he was well, I think he just had the more interesting the way he was built up and the way his character is.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a little more interesting than say Caesar. Like the bits with
Hmm.
Caesar, like how he just like he can just wave his hand in the air and everyone's just calm. I thought that was great. So.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think that I like with Koba a little more. It's like, he has a personal vendetta against humans. Like they experimented on him, they tortured him, and he just wants to kill them all.
Yeah, and you can
So
understand
that-
because
that-
like we saw in the first movie, like
Yeah.
some of the stuff he must have gone through. So on the one hand, you're like, yeah, get those evil humans.
At the same time, you realize, wait a minute, I'm a human.
I thought it would have been good though at the bit where because you know how Koba, like for most of the movie, he's kind of like you sort of see where he's coming from. He's just sort of trying to protect the other apes, but then when he gets power, he just completely flips out.
It kind of
like-
reminded me a bit of like the Lion King in a way. Like after when Scar got all that power and he just like everything went to shit.
Yeah, well, Koba does have a scar, so it fits in that sense too.
We figured it out. At first, Frozen was a copy of the Lion King, but it proves that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is a copy of the Lion King too.
Everything's a copy of Lion King.
Especially
I thought it would have been
Hamlet.
good. I would have liked it the bit where Caesar drops him down. You know where he says ape does not kill ape, and then Caesar says you're not an ape and drops him.
That when I was in the theater, the audience was clapping at that line. That was a great line, I thought.
Well, I would have liked it if he said you're not an ape, you're an animal. I would have liked that. Then he drops him in. Because
You
they're
are
not really
I
they're
don't know,
not animals anymore.
well, the line was just he was like, "You are not ape," wasn't it? Or
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that if he said anything else, I think it wouldn't have been as special. But just him saying like, "You are not ape," it's sort of that like you are anything else but an ape, so therefore I
Mm,
can kill
mm.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I ended up seeing the movie twice because
yeah, I
like
want to watch it again. Yeah, definitely.
well,
Maybe
the
next week.
first
I
time
don't
I
know.
watched it, like there's the guy who shoots the ape at the beginning, and then when they decide to go back up, they
Yeah,
take that guy with them, and I was like, well, that's stupid. I was like, why are you taking that guy? But then when I watch it through a second time, they do actually say, like, Malcolm, the main human guy, his wife
yeah,
is like, why are you taking him? He's like, oh, well, he used to work at the dam, so he knows it better than anyone else, so I have to take him. And I was like,
okay,
oh, they got a reason. That's good.
okay.
They covered their tracks on that one.
The only thing I will say is though, I think the ending was like after Koba shot Caesar, I thought I sort of figured to myself, so this will happen, and I was for the most part right. So.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like I figured,
Yeah.
okay, he's gonna shoot Caesar. Caesar is actually dead, and Koba's gonna mess things up, and Caesar's son's gonna be like torn emotionally, and I don't know,
Hmm.
just a small little gripe, but the way it pays out just kind of fixes that for me. So
Yeah.
not really
Yeah.
too much of a complaint. So
Do you want to
mm.
talk about the next movie?
Yeah, sure.
I
Well,
mean,
let's
I
just
don't know.
like one or
You got anything else you want to say, or
two more
because I'm
points.
pretty much done with that. So.
Well, the human characters are actually good, which I thought was very nice. Gary
Yeah.
Oldman has some great bits as well.
Yeah, and Gary
Uh,
Oldman wasn't really a jerk. Like you
No,
expect that
yeah.
the
I'm
humans
like,
are going to be jerks, but they
Gary
weren't
Oldman's in
really.
this movie. That means he must be playing a dick villain. I'm like, wait, he's not playing a dick villain. He's playing a guy I can actually sympathize with. No,
But
my
well, he
morals are
was
breaking. It's too
he.
gray. It's not black and white enough. No, this movie's great.
Well, he was kind of racist towards the apes, so it's like art imitating life. There you go.
The only scene I kind of thought was a little like really silly is when like they're setting up it's Gary Oldman, Jason Clarke, and the other guy. They're setting up the explosives, and Jason Clarke just picks up the gun, and like no one thinks, hey, why are you doing that? I don't know.
No, I thought that was all right because like he was their like second in command pretty much.
Yeah, it's true, but I don't know. Just maybe if I watch it again, I won't. I just at the time I'm thinking like, oh, come on, like you. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was a good movie. Definitely a good movie though. I can't
Yeah,
wait for the
yeah, yeah.
next one.
No, even for all these things, yeah, I think it's still a great film, and one of the best films of the year, I think. So.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't fall into the Godzilla category.
There you. Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah, I went there. You know what
We're
I
trying to
like
keep this in
about
order, man.
yeah, you know what I
Yeah,
like
we'll
about
get
the
to that
movie
later.
is it doesn't lie to you.
Let's see.
It promises you apes and it gives you apes. It doesn't cut all the ape scenes out of the movie.
It also gave us that silly cliche that I thought was gone, that the guns have infinite ammo, but whatever.
Well, I think there was a little bit of gun control sort of message in there too.
Gun control, yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
Don't you
use
think so?
guns, or apes will use them and shoot everybody.
No, I think it was because like ape doesn't kill ape until like the gun shows up, and like when Koba jumps on when he jumps on the tank, it's sort of like from the gun's perspective. So I think there was a little bit of gun control message in there as well.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know.
Hmm.
Well, I guess I'm out of things to say. Should we talk about the next film?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do Godzilla.
Hmm? No. We got to go in order. We got to talk about Transformers next.
But the recording might give out then.
Yeah, true. Fine, we'll talk about Godzilla.
All right, no, let's do Transformers. Transformers is fine.
Okay, fine. Transformers. Anyways, Transformers: Age of Extinction or Age of Michael Bay. I don't know.
Oh man, I blame you for that.
Why?
Because I wasn't going to go see it.
How
But
is
you
this
were
my
like one of
fault?
because remember on my Facebook page, I was like, oh, I don't need to see it because all the reviews say it's like the others. And there was like a couple of people, but you especially was like, oh, you should go see it. It's really different. And I went and saw it and I was like, this is exactly the same. So I blame
Well,
you.
the one thing Hey, so this is my fault. Yeah. Because clearly everyone was listening to me. That's why the film made $900 million.
Oh, man. It makes you sad,
But no,
doesn't
the
it?
one thing that I... Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
The one thing that for me was the only thing that felt different was that I'm like, where's all the U.S. military? They're not in the movie. What is
Yeah,
this?
that was an improvement though, I think. Because
What?
I think that was an improvement though. Because I was so sick of the whole military
Yeah, I
thing.
thought
I
I'm like,
mean,
huh. But
yeah,
that's
like
just a
there's,
Michael Bay movie thing, not really like a Transformer movie thing. But well,
you know, like when I went and saw it, because I knew that like from the trailer and from what some people had said to me, I knew that the movie like starts out with all the Transformers being like hunted and everything. But like
yeah.
as I was driving there, I was thinking to myself, I was like, why doesn't Optimus just leave? I was thinking to
What do you
myself,
mean?
I thought if the Transformers are hunted, I was like, why don't they just fly off? Why don't they just leave? And then I remembered in Transformers 3 that they had to build a rocket ship in order to leave Earth, and I thought, well, maybe they don't have one, but I was like, well, they're Transformers, can't they build one? And anyway, throughout the whole movie, then they finally get that spaceship from the bounty hunter. They're like, cool, now we can leave. And I'm like, yes, leave. And they're like, no, let's help the humans. And what happens at the very end?
He
Optimus
leaves.
Prime, he just
magically
ignites his
flies
boots
off.
and he just flies off. And it's like, he could have done that at any time. It's like, why did he stick around? He's like, oh, these humans, they treat us so badly. It's like, well, just leave. Leave. You don't have to be here. Oh, man.
I don't know.
What a disaster that movie was. Oh, oh. You know, I some people saying like it's not as bad as the other ones. I think it's the worst one, actually.
Really? I think Revenge of
Yeah.
the Fallen's way worse than it because,
No,
well, yeah, it's neat. It's like Revenge of the Fallen was unnecessarily, needlessly complicated. This
yeah,
one's complicated, but it doesn't feel so needlessly complicated. Like, okay,
yeah.
okay,
That's
this guy
true.
wants to do this to get this, so he can give it to this guy, so they can build an army of Transformers. I thought, okay, okay, I can see where that's going.
Yeah, but I think it's the worst though because it's the fourth one, and as a franchise moves on, you expect it to fix the problems it had before. That's why you like. Yeah, I think
I
the
think a
first
new
Transformers is perfectly fine. I got no problem with it because it's the first one. But now we're in the fourth. They should have fixed up, all this, all this junk that they just keep throwing on the screen,
I
literally
thought
because they look like junkyards. But
I thought replacing Mark Wahlberg with Shia LaBeouf was a improvement, but
Shia LaBeouf with Mark Wahlberg, yeah, that was an improvement. Yeah,
you
I mean Mark Wahlberg's much better, but it was like it was just a like a surface level change. Like nothing else really changed. Like the villains, like the name of the characters changed, the villain changed, but underneath that, the structure was still exactly the same, wasn't it?
yeah.
I mean, a few little tweaks here and there, but
And as
it's
everyone
basically the same thing. I mean,
and as everyone says, what the hell is with the runtime? Like,
oh
it's
yeah,
almost 3 hours long.
oh, there's no reason for it to be that long.
I think
saw
Jeremy Johns had a good line saying, "We just watched a Michael Bay orgy of garbage."
well, actually, Jeremy Jans, he said it's like two movies in one. He said the first movie is about, Optimus and that trying to escape the US government. And then halfway in the movie, when Mark Wahlberg says, okay, we have to go find the seed, it then becomes movie number two, which is about the bounty hunters coming after Optimus. And when I was watching it, when he said that line, I was like, okay, we're in movie two now. But it's funny, because when that happened, like, if they had cut it there at the end of the first one, I would have been like, you know what, that was okay. That was fine. But of course, they just kept going and going and going. Oh, what a catastrophe.
They gotta sell toys, so.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh,
Um,
just, oh.
I will say that was kind of a unique. I thought that was kind of cool. The humans were hunting all the Transformers down. I thought that was kind of cool, though. I was like, it's like, hey, we don't like you. I don't care what side you're on. You're semi-responsible for the destruction of that city.
Yeah,
So,
but they've done that in all the movies except for the third one, and for half of that movie, they are hunting them anyway. So I mean, it's like we've seen it all before.
That's true.
And the whole pedophile thing,
Autobots,
was not that great either. The whole age of consent thing. Like, why is that in a movie that's targeted at teenagers? Like, is it really necessary?
What is Age of Consent?
Yeah, like, why is that? Why is the whole thing of, the age of consent and the 17-year-old dating a 20-year-old, why is that in a movie that's targeted at teenagers?
Because he's Michael Bay. I don't know.
But I know. But look, I think I did a little bit of research. You know how that guy brings out that law? He calls it Romeo and Juliet laws.
Is that a real thing? I wanted to know if that was a real thing.
Well, I think what it is I think it's meant for, like, if if there are like two teenagers in high school and they start dating, but then like one of them will turn 18 before the other one is. Yeah. So it's like, so if that one turns like 18, say 6 months before the other one, is he a pedophile during those 6 months until, the girlfriend catches up or whatever? So I think like those laws are meant to cover that if there's no more than 3 years and if they're under, a certain age, then it's covered. But I don't think it was intended for what they had in the movie.
Whatever. What was I else about to say? I don't know.
What else can you say about it, though? I mean, I think that's the best we can ever expect from Michael Bay, because that was his best shot. I was excited at seeing him doing a complete overhaul and changing it all, and it kind of felt like, the bit, Attack of the Clones, obviously, Attack of the Clones, but how at the end of Attack of the Clones, the finale, because everyone makes fun of Phantom Menace, how they had 4 different endings going on at once. So he tried to fix that in Attack of the Clones, but the result was he still had 4 endings, but rather than them all going on at the one time, they're stacked one after the other. They've got the monster battles in the arena. Then the rest of the Jedi show up and fight the droids. Then the clone troopers show up, and then there's a duel with Dooku. So there's still 4 endings, but they're all linear. So it's kind of like, even though Lucas tried to fix the problem before and, change the formula from what he had, it was still there.
That's true.
Like, Transformers 4 is exactly the same as that. Like, Michael Bay, you can see he tried to change it, but it's still, like, reverted back to what it was.
I don't know.
So
Maybe
I don't think we can ever expect any more from Michael Bay.
I do wonder with a lot of these like big films, like who is really like to blame? We could just say, oh, it's everyone's fault, but is that just Michael Bay because he doesn't know what to do, or is it the writer because that's all the writer's good at, or is the producer because the producers realize, hey, people just eat up this garbage, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, I don't really know.
Many people work on
about. I don't really know too much about the politics of how it all works, but I thought, isn't the director the guy who sort of has it all? Because everyone who's like working in a creative capacity works for him, but then he has to answer to the producers, and they can like try to force changes, so he's got to sort of juggle it with them. So I guess it all kind of comes down to the director, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. Like, I've made some short films of my own, and I just write, direct, and act in my own films. But like,
yeah, I've seen them.
Great, you've actually seen my films. Ugh, one more thing to worry about in life.
What's the ones you got on your channel? Yeah.
Yeah, those are short ones. But the politics of film, it's like an endless thing. Like, who really has control? I mean, I'm trying to think. I was reading something the other day about I think it was something to do with World War Z. Apparently, there was a second director who filmed like the last third of the film.
Oh yeah.
And no one really knows. And what?
Yeah.
Apparently, this is just I don't know if it was a rumor or something, but apparently there was a second director who filmed the last third of the film. Not like a second unit filming, but like an actual director. And no one really knows who it is. No one's actually said anything. I think it was just a one-off statement, and I've actually, and I don't know. But yeah.
Yeah, because it's funny you should mention that, actually, because I'm just sort of covering that bit a little bit in my Prometheus review at the moment. Because
I'm excited for that.
It should be finished within like a day, I'm hoping. But
rip it to shreds.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking a little bit about Damon Lindelof, because I'm not sure about the director who did that director, but Damon Lindelof is the one who came in and rewrote that ending, where they're sneaking around the base and all that stuff, and that is a much better ending than I guess what they had planned, which was basically the same thing, but it happens in the middle of a big battle.
Yeah.
So it was his idea to sort of make it smaller and more suspenseful, and yeah, that actually did work. But you know, I think one thing though is like, even though, you know, speaking about, do we think Michael Bay is really responsible, or is he just sort of steering this train wreck, not sort of creating the train wreck?
Yeah.
I think it's like, even though like he doesn't write the script, he does get to approve the script, right?
Yeah,
So, like,
of course.
maybe
That's
he just
how
doesn't care.
writing
He's
and
just like,
directing works.
yeah,
like
whatever.
like a writer doesn't just write, and the director's like, boom, I'm going to make this. That doesn't happen. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but
Well-
you know, but Michael Bay has that sort of. He's notorious for filming before the script is even finished. So,
You know, maybe what it is though, maybe what it is because like, there was a decision made right in the beginning of the very first Transformers movie that I think has a lot to do with why these movies are so formulaic. And it's
What's
like,
that?
because they established at the beginning of Transformers 1 that Cybertron is destroyed. Cybertron's like a barren wasteland, and it's like Krypton, you know, and all that's left of them is the Autobots. And that's fine for like one movie, but when you're making a franchise like that, that's a serious problem. Because like, you know, in the cartoon, Cybertron was still out there, and there was like a whole race of Transformers still. So they could bring in any new characters whenever they wanted. They could bring in any new technology whenever they wanted. They could do anything. But if Cybertron's destroyed, then you're really limited by what you can do. Then every movie has to be, they're looking for some artifact that was left over from before it was destroyed. And that just sucks. You know? And that's what every movie has been. So I was hoping they'd find some way of bringing back Cybertron so they can, you know, really just sort of go crazy with their creativity. But I guess we're just stuck in this formula of... I bet we're just stuck in this formula now of treasure hunting for stuff. Oh, I'm so sick of the treasure hunting storyline.
I don't know. I thought, well, you have a point. I mean, like, that's what I thought. Because, like, okay, in the third film, Cybertron was destroyed. So, okay, there's plenty you can do with that. I mean, and I thought it was kind of cool that, you know, Lockdown or whatever his name was, you know, he was like, you know, sort of cyberforming parts of Earth or whatever. I thought, hey, that could actually go somewhere. But it doesn't really go anywhere, so.
Well, you know what's interesting is when I did my Nerdzilla review of Transformers 3, I had a bit at the end where, because I recognized that formula, so I thought maybe I could try to anticipate what the next movie was going to be. And I was like, I didn't end up putting it in the video because I was like, who would care about a hypothetical theory about a movie that hasn't come out yet? But it's funny because like what I came up with was not at all what they did here, yet what they did here was still more generic.
I
like I was actually trying not to do anything new, but my thinking was I was like, okay, you need a thing that leads to another thing that will turn the tide of the war, because that's what they're all about. And I was like, well, the first one with the cube was like a means to create more Transformers. The second one with the machine was a way to harvest energon to make more Transformers. And the third one was like a teleporter. And I was thinking, I thought, well, the only other sci-fi trope they've really got left is like time travel. So I figured they'd have an artifact that involves time travel. And maybe because of time travel, that
time
could explain...
travel has a very weird history in the Transformer universe. It's been done in the original cartoon, but it's been done to really weird uses. So I'm hoping they don't.
Well, I figured the time travel would link in with the Dinobots, you know, because like if Transformers modeling them, go back in time, see dinosaurs, model themselves off the dinosaurs, and come forward or whatever. But instead, they had the seed, which is basically exactly the same as the cube. So rather than having a MacGuffin that has a new function, they just reused the same MacGuffin, but just called it the seed instead of the cube.
I don't know.
But it does the same thing. It's just a means to create more Transformers. That's the third time they've used that.
I don't know. Let's just, you know, I kind of like your line about like you're doing a thing like why do stupid movies make so much money? I think it's just these are made by idiots for idiots.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. Yeah. But you know what else I think as well? Like, Sorry, I'm just ranting now.
No. It's all right. Keep going.
But I think Michael Bay, he's he's sort of reached a level where expectations are so low that it's impossible for him to fail.
Yeah, that's true. Doesn't matter what he does, it's still going to make $1.5 gazillion, so...
Yeah, like, I mean, that's why they say it's critic-proof and it's audience-proof, because people keep seeing it, but, oh, man. It's depressing. Thank God we have movies like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes to even it out, otherwise we'd be super depressed. There we go.
Right. So yeah,
sorry for ranting.
That's right. I'll just say a few more things, then we'll move on to Godzilla or X-Men, whatever you want to talk about next.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. He has reached this point where it doesn't matter what he does, how stupid he makes it. He just won't fail.
It's sad,
but I don't know.
it?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen worse films.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Oh, well.
So have I, yeah.
Oh, well. But I don't really know. I mean, let's just move on.
I guess he's doing something right. So
doing something right. He's making money, and like you said, who wouldn't switch spots with him?
if we could, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I will say this though: what the hell was with the Bud Light commercial in the middle of the movie?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No.
They crashed into this guy's car. They crashed into a Bud Light truck.
Right. And he cracks the beer on the door.
I half expected him to turn to the camera and be like, Bud Light, drink it, damn it. I'm like, God damn
Bud
it,
Light,
Michael
it's
Bay.
more interesting than a spaceship crushing your car.
The only thing dumber than the long run time is this shameless product placement.
There was a ton of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was there was a lot of like Chinese products. You know, the bit where he's like drinking that juice box thing, and it's like lingering on him drinking it for like 35 seconds, and he's like, very good.
I don't know. There was one line that actually had me laughing quite a bit though. It was when they're going through the hallway, and then Stanley Tucci's like, "What's the Chinese word? How do you say get the fuck out of the way in Chinese?" I don't know why. I just thought that was hilarious.
I think,
stupid Michael Bay hilarious.
You know, actually, that chick who he said that to was Blink in Days of Future Past. Segue.
Oh.
That's a segue right there.
All right. Well, let's talk about Days of Future Past.
No, I absolutely loved it. I really did.
Yeah, we both did.
I actually thought because I saw that one twice as well. But
I saw it twice as well. Yeah.
Oh, it's so great. And it's like after the first time I saw it, I was like, that's a work of art. Like, no joke, that's what I actually said to myself.
No, I agree with you. It is. I'm just like, it was a risky project to do, and whatever.
And it gets it. It gets it right too, because like some people say, it doesn't tie up all the loose ends. Like it doesn't explain really how Xavier comes back and why he's in a wheelchair and all that stuff. But I think it gets the balance right, because it's like I always think the amount of stuff you're willing to overlook is directly related to how much fun you're having.
Yeah.
So it didn't put in too many things you need to overlook, but you were still having enough fun that you didn't care, that you let it go. Yeah. Like, at least in my experience, that's what it was.
I mean, the only two things I think, I was kind of wondering, why is Professor X alive? Because Bryan Singer said in an interview that there will be an explanation in the film as to how he's alive, but I don't know.
From what I've seen, is mostly they just reference the bit at the end of X-Men Last Stand, where you see the guy wakes up from the coma and he's got Xavier's voice. They sort of reference that, but that still doesn't really...
doesn't really make much sense when you get down to it.
Yeah, like he should be able to walk again and stuff. I don't know, was that guy paralyzed as well? And was he his twin brother? He didn't look like it. Anyway.
It's saved for the director's cut.
But I really liked it, I really liked it.
The only other thing I think was okay, how did Wolverine get the adamantium claws again? I mean, he had bone claws at the end of Wolverine, or the Wolverine, so
Well, I figured, I was talking to Billy T800 about this because at no point do they actually say that they are adamantium. So if they weren't adamantium, Magneto could have just made more for him. But if they were adamantium, because you remember he had his claws cut off, but he still had adamantium like grafted to his skeleton. So if Magneto wanted to help him, he could have he could have used his magnetic powers to like drag the adamantium from like some of his ribs and like slide it down the inside of his arms and make claws. I mean, would have really hurt, but I
sort of sat there going, well, this is like 15 years after the Wolverine, so who knows what happened? So at that point in time,
I suppose that's true. I mean, if they can do an experiment that'll give him claws back in the 70s, then I'm sure this super futuristic world has a means through which they can do that.
I absolutely love that dystopian future. That was like just seeing it all. Yeah, those are my favorite bits of the film. So
and it was like I do have to say though, when Wolverine wakes up and he's in the Bryan Singer universe, I was a bit worried. I was like, we're not going to stay here, are we? But then thankfully they jumped back. And then we're back to the Vaughn universe, and I was like, good, because they've got all the younger cast. And since Bryan Singer...
he doesn't exactly look younger, but we did get the nice shot of his butt. But
that might be the first time.
When I saw that the first time, and everyone in the audience just like made this weird noise, like it was like a sort of a fangirl squeal / like, oh man, / sort of shock, and I'm like,
yeah, because you didn't expect it.
I'm like,
it was like, whoa, okay,
is this the first for a superhero film? I'm like, I like what I'm looking at, but please put it away. I doubt I'll be able to stick that one on YouTube, but
well, it's amazing that it's amazing because like when you look at how jacked Hugh Jackman has gotten. Like, when you look at him in the very first X-Men, he's got, like, that soft puppy dog face, and he's in shape, but he's not, like, he's, like, normal person fit. He's not, like, mega fit. But in that, he was just, like, insanely cut. He's just been layering muscles on top of muscles for just the last decade.
Muscles on top of muscles.
Yeah. Well, he did say, because, bodybuilders, when they go into competition, they don't drink any liquids for, like, I don't know, a day or something beforehand. Because it drains all the fluid from the body and it holds everything. Like the skin makes the muscles look bigger. Hugh Jackman did that, and he said so. In between takes, he was dizzy and almost passing out. But
now that is some mad science.
Yeah, that's dedication from Hugh Jackman. That guy's crazy.
Yeah, what was another scene I really liked?
I thought it was interesting that you take Wolverine and Xavier. And, they're arguably, well, I suppose Wolverine's not the most powerful, but they're usually, Xavier's the most powerful. Wolverine does a lot of the fighting in most of the movies. But in this one, it was in a situation where neither of them was useful at all. Xavier in the future, he's got his psychic powers, but that's completely useless against the Sentinels.
Yeah.
And, when Wolverine goes back, he's got his bone claws. So, again, when he goes against the Sentinels, Beast is like, yeah, don't worry, I'll handle it. And I thought it's interesting to see those two put in situations where they can't do anything, when normally they're the ones who do everything. Yeah. That was really clever.
Yeah, it's good. One of my favorite little visual gags in the film was they're going to they're in the 70s. They're going to the Sentinel display or whatever, and he goes through the metal detector, and it flashes negative, and he just looks at it. He's just like, what? Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, that was.
I don't have them yet.
He's got this vendetta with the metal detectors. Every time he's gone through them, they've gone off, and he's like, "Arr!"
I must say, bone claws are absolutely disgusting when you get right down to them.
Yeah, they're pretty gross.
They're just gross to look at. I get it. That bit with where Quicksilver's just that's pretty gross, man. Oh well.
Yeah, Quicksilver was great too, wasn't he?
That scene, oh my god, I have not laughed so hard.
That was such a great scene.
But it comes right out of nowhere, which is even better.
I love that he goes around, he's giving everyone the wedgies, But like the last thing he does is move the bullets.
Yeah.
Like, you think that'd be the first thing he does, but he's like, oh yeah, the bullets. And then he goes and he moves them last. Oh, that was
Jeez.
great.
But
that was a great scene, but I suppose they did kind of shoot themselves in the foot with that, because they had to get rid of him. Because after that, you'd be like, well, Quicksilver can just do everything. you know? Like in that bit where
Magneto why not just have him stop all the problems? It's just like, nope, we're going to get on a plane and going to leave you alone for the rest of your life.
Well, like, and he's watching Magneto on the TV threatening the president, and I'm like, he could run there and back and just punch Magneto in the face. Like, he could have stopped that right there if he wanted to, but he just kind of sat there and watched the TV. But it doesn't matter. It was worth it for that scene, I reckon.
I do wonder, though, because, like, everything that's great about Quicksilver in this film, I'm sitting there going, like, Aaron Taylor Johnson better have something up his sleeve, because I don't know how he's going to top Evan Peters, but I don't know. We'll see.
I think Aaron Taylor Johnson, like, a lot's going to be riding on Age of Ultron, and, like, I don't want to jump ahead to Godzilla too much, but because that Quicksilver in Days of Future Past was really good, and, you know, because a lot of people were not that thrilled with his performance in Godzilla, if he doesn't do something great in Age of Ultron, he might be on, like, the Taylor Kitsch route.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, Taylor Kitsch was, like, kind of making it, and then he just kind of John Cartered his career.
That stupid John Carter and, like, everything.
Yeah, well, if
unfortunate
Taylor Johnson,
he's Canadian,
he better do something good in Avengers, or he's in some trouble, that guy.
No. I don't really know much else to say, but it's good that I brought up Aaron Taylor Johnson, because now we could segue into Godzilla.
Yes.
How about something different? How about instead of one of us ranting and one of us being quiet, how about I bring up one aspect of the film, whether it be whatever, and then we both say like one or two things about that, and then we just keep doing that until we run out of things to say.
If you want, yeah. I don't really understand what it is, but okay.
Well, like, here's what it is. I'll bring up something like, here, we'll talk about Aaron Taylor Johnson first, and here, you say something, then I'll say something. So,
okay. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure, I'll start. Because, well, yeah, he's not very interesting or a good character. He has, I think, some decent bits at the beginning, but that's about it. I don't really blame him for that. I think it's just more in the writing. So, but I don't know.
I actually have a question for you.
Yeah, shoot.
Because I mean, you and I, we're both familiar with the arguments people make where they say, you know, Godzilla was trying to do the less is more kind of thing, and I understand that. I understand that, because, like, you know, if you show your monster like really early on and you have your big battle, then there's kind of nothing to build to after that. So I understand, but I think they took it to the other extreme of like, I
know. Like, I think that like too little, just too less. So
yeah, but here's my question, right?
Okay.
Because I honestly want to know this, because I still don't know.
Yeah.
So
just say the question.
Well, the basic idea is, yeah, if you show too much Godzilla, then it ruins it. But here's the thing: Jurassic Park. We've all seen it. We all love it. There's no shortage of dinosaurs in that. Multiple dinosaurs. Right from the first thing that happens in the movie is the raptor eating someone, all the way through to the T-Rex saving them at the end. Tons of dinosaurs, and it doesn't ruin that movie. So why is it that a movie like Jurassic Park can have loads of monsters in it all the way through and it doesn't ruin it, but people reckon having too much Godzilla in a Godzilla movie would ruin it? Like, what's the difference between those two?
Well, the difference is there's like at least 10 types of dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, so each one's different.
But doesn't Godzilla have three different monsters? Three.
What?
But doesn't Godzilla have three different monsters? Three of them.
Yeah, two of which look identical. So,
well, not really, because one's the female who's a giant.
One has wings. One has a big pregus belly. So
yeah, I know what you mean, because they're both the same species. They're both Mutos.
Yeah, they're both Mutos. But no, the difference between, say, Godzilla and Jurassic Park is that there's three monsters, but there's 10 different types of dinosaurs, and it's more based on which dinosaur do you use to have the big moment. The bit with the when you first see the T-Rex, that scene's incredible. You only see him like twice in the film, so that just makes his appearance all the more special. So,
well, maybe it's because see, I'm just brainstorming. I don't like, this is why I want to talk to you about this, because like,
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Maybe like you say, it's like Jurassic Park. You have your big T-Rex in the rain moment, but then you have like the frill-necked lizard kind of thing attacking Nedry. Then you have the raptors stalking the kids in the kitchen. So even though it's lots of dinosaurs, there's a different feel for each of them.
Yeah, as opposed to say Godzilla. Well, there's three monsters. How much can you do with three monsters as opposed to say,
well, that's the
10 dinosaurs?
They didn't create any variety. They could have used their imagination and come up with different ways that they could put like smaller battles leading up to the big battle, like a variety of different stuff. But they didn't. They're just like, let's have the battle in, but not show it.
I don't know. You kind of see it. I mean, it didn't look like much happened. I mean, you sort of tossed them a bit, and then then Godzilla went into the water.
Did you believe that Godzilla was dead?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, there. Yeah. Did you hear what I said?
No. What was the last thing?
Well, yeah, you're right. Like, what's the point of building up a battle and not showing it? You kind of see it, but it didn't really look like much happened. I mean, they kind of got tossed around, and then they just went separate ways. Or, Godzilla was giving chase or whatever.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is like, I mean, the end fight was good, but because they kept doing that and kept cutting away, by the time I got to the big fight at the end, I was like so frustrated that I kind of didn't care anymore. See, like for me personally, I would have preferred it if they didn't show Godzilla at all until that final fight. Like maybe the Muto shows up, smashes stuff, has a battle with the military, and then they're like, something's under the water. It's really big, and then you see like the other Muto comes up and smashes the city and all that, and then they're like, you just see like the spine of Godzilla come up, in the water, like when he's traveling, but you don't see him. So it's like building up. Godzilla's coming, and then you have the big fight, and you're like, yeah, Godzilla. But because they like had him walk out of the water, like halfway through the movie, when he walks out of the water, you're ready for the fight. But they didn't, so you're just sitting there tapping your watch until the end.
Maybe.
So I think they had the right idea. They just handled it totally wrong.
I don't know. I still think that's one of the best entrances for any character that size. So just like
really?
Gadoosh, claws, belly, roar.
Yeah, I mean that would have been good. That would have been good for the final fight. Because I think
that was just good as an introduction. That's not necessarily a final fight.
Yeah, but again, you don't show your monster early on in the movie, and they did.
I don't know. I mean, the movie had many writers and other things, so I don't know. It went through many years of development, so
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, but a lot of people talk about the 1954 version, and they're like, well, he only showed up the last 15 minutes of the movie. And it's like, yeah, he did, but that's because it was a guy inside a rubber suit who he couldn't get oxygen while he was in there, so he would pass out after 30 minutes of filming. So
I might also add that
is the best clips
first
was all I could get
film,
without
so was there really much of a standard back then?
Yeah, exactly. Like 15 minutes was all they needed.
The director Gareth Edwards had a good line, and I think this was, in partly reference to the first fight. He said that if you blow your load on the first thing, on the first whatever, what do you have left to show the audience? I mean, now, I'm not saying I didn't want to see that fight. I would have loved to have seen that fight. I mean, and to an extent, he did have something to show extra in the final fight. He did use the atomic breath, which is already his answer right there. How do you make a different fight feel more special? You add that in, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose, but I just found it immensely disappointing. Yeah, I think the theories he brings up on it is like sound of you don't blow your load of showing the monster and all the fighting real early, and I'd say yeah, that's true, but you don't hold off too long either, which is what I would say he did. Yeah, where's the happy medium? That's what I wanted. I mean, clearly it didn't satisfy everyone. But
I can't
I don't know.
see
He
that.
got the director's now got a Star Wars spin-off off the back of that, so so I
Uh-huh.
guess he'll be happy.
Well, why not? I mean, hey, he's he's done now. He first did Godzilla. Okay, he's apparently he was a Godzilla fan since a kid, and he was also a Star Wars fan since he was a kid. So his
Yeah,
dreams come true now.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
totally.
what do you think they'll do for the sequel, though?
Um, hmm,
I think they should bring in a classic Godzilla monster like Mothra or King
yeah.
Ghidorah. I don't know.
Well, I think there was a teaser for Mothra in that, wasn't it?
Well, there was an Easter egg to Mothra, but not like, oh, you see a giant egg. No, it's just like the scene where they go back to their house.
Mm.
There's a bit where Aaron Taylor Johnson, he looks into a fish tank or whatever, and there's a thing that says moth, and then
Yeah.
like crossed out is the letters R-A. So yeah,
Ah, I actually heard that. Yeah, the Easter egg I heard was, you know, when the female breaks out of that facility in Nevada or wherever it is. Apparently, when
yeah,
they're walking down the hall and you're seeing the windows in the different rooms, apparently in one of those rooms was like a Mothra egg.
maybe I don't know.
But
I
somebody, I think in the comment section they said, oh, maybe in the next one they could bring in like that maybe the governments want to use these Godzilla stuff or these giant, you know, not just Godzilla. Maybe they want to use it as a weapon, so maybe they'll, you know, be
maybe.
getting like Mothra eggs to unleash as a weapon or something like that. Or
Well,
yeah,
actually, that can kind of go into like, well, that can actually go into like, because when the first time Mothra and Godzilla were in a movie, it was called Mothra versus Godzilla,
hmm.
and that was more of a Mothra film than a Godzilla film. But the one thing it had was that Mothra was on the side of the humans, while Godzilla was more the villain in that film. So
Yeah,
they can tie that
making
back
Godzilla a
into
villain would be good.
this maybe that'd actually be interesting.
Yeah,
But going back to what I was saying about standard, you know, you compare the original Godzilla film to this. Well, of course, A, they're completely different, and two, Godzilla's role is completely different. And I
hmm.
think you can't do the same thing you did 60 years ago. Do it now. It just doesn't work. I don't think that'll work as well. So,
Yeah, exactly,
I
exactly.
mean, what Godzilla stood for 60 years ago, I don't want to say is irrelevant, but it's just not as noticed anymore. So.
Hmm. Yeah,
So they kind
totally.
of had to
Because
do different things, and that's where that whole he's the great equalizer, he's the one who restores balance to nature. I think
yeah,
that's where that came from. I don't. Yeah.
Godzilla's kind of like the Superman of monsters. Because you know how like
Did you
Superman
see
was
that how
like
it should have ended? How Godzilla should have ended?
I can't remember it now.
Oh, they have a great line in it. It's like at the end of the movie where everyone's cheering in the how it should have ended. Superman appears. It's like, oh, what? He's just so what? He's a giant monster. He gets clapped, or it's like he destroys just as much as me and Zod did, but he gets more of an applause than me. I don't know. Give it a
Yeah,
watch. You will laugh
that's
your head
true.
off.
I don't know, he did, but at least Godzilla would sort of like try to tiptoe around buildings and things like that. Superman in Man of
Yeah,
Steel
but
was like, I'll
something
just
like
fly right through it.
that's why I'm like, well, okay, Godzilla can destroy the buildings because he's goddamn Zilla. He can't
Exactly.
exactly tiptoe around buildings. I don't know.
Yeah, and like when he smashed through the Golden Gate Bridge, but like that was actually the military's
That was
fault because you remember when he like walked
yeah,
through the Golden Gate Bridge?
yeah, that was a great scene. I thought.
Yeah, but it's like he stood up and the ship starts shooting him, and the blast like push him through the like he walked through the bridge to get away from the ships that were shooting him. I was like,
Yeah,
if they hadn't shot him, he probably would have just gone under that. But they're
uh,
like, quick, shoot him so that he falls through the bridge. Stupid
I
military.
was kind of wondering though. I'm like, what is Godzilla doing in this scene? He shows up there, puts his hand on the bridge, and just sits there. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, well.
Yeah, I would have liked a little bit more clear motivation as well for like exactly how he's the equalizer and you know
I
why
don't know.
he's shown up and all that sort of stuff. But
I don't
whatever.
know. One of the more loose metaphors of Godzilla is that he's the second coming of Christ, but I don't think
Serious?
I do question why the second coming is a 350-foot lizard that breathes atomic breath, but I don't know.
Yeah. everyone seems to put like Christian metaphors into pretty much all fiction, don't they? You know.
Why? It's just so easy.
Yeah, it's like, well, Superman. What's weird because Superman was started as a metaphor for Moses because he was written by Jewish guys, and like, him in the pod leaving Krypton is like Moses in the basket down the river. But they're like, no, now he's a Christian guy. It's like, really?
Then
Godzilla as well.
And then all the obvious, Christian references. I don't know. He's sitting in a church and it looks like a halo is on his head. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, he might just be dying for our sins in the next movie. Spoiler alert.
Let's see here. You know what I'm more worried about than Batman versus Superman? Just that now that you brought it up. All the other DC films that they kind of announced, like Shazam and like
that actually
Wonder
makes
Woman.
A
I'm
kind of
sitting there like, well, look, you have everyone on the pessimistic side about BVS, and now like you're gonna do all these films with all these other characters, and eventually Justice League. Like you're gonna have to win over somebody at one point, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, at first I was like, oh, it seems weird that they're doing like a Shazam movie and that before they've done like Wonder Woman or but or like Flash, but I guess Flash has kind of got the TV show and it's like people already know Wonder Woman, so I guess they figured let's do movies for the newer characters that the general populace don't know, like Cyborg and Shazam and all the rest of them. So I guess it kind of makes sense that they would do that, but I don't know. I
think DC should try. Yes, you were saying?
I don't know. This movie could be disastrous for Zack Snyder. Like if it, let's just say if it turns out.
Didn't you say a while ago that you were kind of slightly relieved that what's his name, Chris Terrio, was writing it? Or
yeah, that's true. That's true because he was brought in to like fix up some of the stuff. That's certainly good. But
fixing up could mean he just rewrote the entire thing to make it better, or who knows? So
yeah, but I mean, you know how much backlash there was after Man of Steel. So
yeah, of course.
If this one doesn't win them over, they're going to be in like Transformers territory. Yeah. They're in Transformers territory where people these are stupid movies, whatever. You just laugh at how dumb it is, and that's going to be sad for me as a DC fan because
Well, the problem is, I think it's just because like DC has always ruled at television, which I think is a problem. They focused all their time on television. That when it comes to movies, they just fall flat.
Well, you know what the problem is? Like, the problem is they will not stop with Batman. Okay, yes, he's cool, okay? We all think he's cool. But, like, look what Marvel has done, and they don't even have the full library of characters. Warner Brothers has access to the whole DC archives, all of the characters, and they don't want to do anybody but Batman. Even now, we only got one movie with Superman, and now they're throwing in Batman again. It's like, seriously. Like, do they... Oh. And, like, the only ones who are willing to try new characters are the TV.
Well, no, in the sense that that's why, even before, Ben Affleck was cast, that's why everyone was so skeptic about this movie, or, like, sort of, whatever, because, well, it's just DC and Warner Brothers doing the same thing as usual, except now they stuck...
Exactly.
They're two characters they only know how to make films about in the same movie together, so...
Yeah. Like Bruce, give us a Martian Manhunter movie. He's got an amazing story. Or like Hawkman. You read about him. He's got an amazing story.
Oh,
and those are characters you've never seen before. Marvel has nothing like them. So, it's just, they won't get out of Batman's shadow. And it's just...
Is that a pun? Batman's shadow?
Only if it was funny, then it was a pun.
That sounded funny. Let's see. What else? Let's see. Let's talk about a couple more things. So are we done with Godzilla? Or?
Yeah, I think. Like, I've forgotten a lot of the stuff I hated about it. But
okay, hey, I see how it is. Quick question, though. What did you think of the final kill, Godzilla, how he killed the female Muto?
Yeah, that was cool.
Just... I don't care. I don't care. Hate the film all you want. That death alone was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Well, I don't know if it was like, the greatest thing ever, but...
It's like something out of a video game, like, rips open its jaw, breathes down its neck, Heck, rips off its head. Like, I don't know. Nothing's gonna top that for me for a while. It's funny though.
Yeah.
My job, my boss, he's a physics and a science teacher. He was saying that he liked the film, but he brought up the point saying that they say that in the film that Godzilla feeds off radiation, and he said that if that's the case, then why would he have a mouth? Because if he feeds off radiation, what does he need a mouth for?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But then I said to him, I don't know, what's the Darwinian theory for atomic breath? And he's just like, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it?
I find those things hilarious, and people are like trying to scientifically prove that there's no way this thing can exist. But
Yeah.
it's cool. Those like string of videos. Those are funny.
Cool, man.
What else do I have to say? I don't know.
Yeah. It
any
just
other-
would have been nice if, yeah, it would have been nice if they had just like one more Godzilla battle and characters that you actually care about.
Some characters are
That
better
would've
than
been good.
others. I'll give you that. I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, there's one interesting character in the movie, apart from Godzilla himself. And that's
Yeah.
pretty much it.
no. That's true. Yeah. Let's see. What else could we say? You watch Amazing Spider-Man 2?
I deliberately haven't talked about it because I had major problems with that movie.
Yeah.
Because I remember last
It
time you
sucks.
and I did a video together. You remember last time you and I did a video together? I was like making fun of Spider-Man. And
You're
like,
just like,
I
yeah.
learned it's not a good idea to make fun of Spider-Man. You you get a lot of hate. So that's why I never did a review on The Amazing Spider-Man 2 because I don't like it like at all.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I just thought it was just like, I mean, come on, really? Like, this makes me even more worried for Batman versus Superman. This is not what you do. You don't stick 50 characters in here and have them have like 3 lines of dialogue and then move on. You don't do that. That just it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, well, it seems like they just had way more story there, and then they had to cut it all out. But I don't understand how that can happen because like surely they know how long a movie is going to be for however long the script is. So I don't know how it can get that out of control that they have to cut so much out of it. Like it's like how does that happen? Like same thing happened with Prometheus too.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
You know, it's not the worst thing I've seen. I mean, there are a couple decent bits, like.
Hear you. Hang
But
on.
I think. Say something. Hello.
I think it's dropped out again. I'll have to call you back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This time your end dropped out.
Oh, okay.
And I was talking. I was like, he hasn't said anything for a while.
Yeah.
So what?
All right.
What were you saying?
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2. There's a couple decent bits in it, but for the most part, it's just like, more of the same, really.
And like, oh man,
Uh.
it's like everything that people say about Superman in Man of Steel. That's exactly how I felt about Spider-Man in this one. I was like, he's the worst hero ever, and it's like, oh man, like, and why? Like, why did he not give his blood to Harry Osborn?
I don't know.
Like, I didn't understand. Like, when he was explaining that, the guy's like, this is what I want the blood for, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there in the theater and I'm like, I don't see any problem why he wouldn't. You know, like, what's... But then he comes up and he's like, no, I can't because it might make you even more sick. The guy's dying. He's got a terminal illness. He's going to die. Obviously, he's going to test the blood before he puts it in his body. Like, the only reason that he would not want to give it to him is like, oh, maybe it'll give him superpowers as well. But he wasn't bad at that point. He was not a bad guy. So what's the problem? You know? Oh, it was catastrophic, that movie. And you realize that everyone who's died is Spider-Man's fault. Like,
it is.
You know, she died. What was her name? Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy died. Her father died. That was his fault as well with the lizard guy.
Yes,
And
yes.
Uncle Ben died, which was also his fault. So far, everybody that's died is directly Spider-Man's fault. I know people are going to say that's kind of the point, but what, is he just going to work his entire way through the Stacy family, just knocking off everybody, and going, I'm the hero.
Put me in the will, or you're next.
And I was like I got into an argument with one of my subscribers on this. It was like, I think it was on a video on a different channel, but I was like, and like Electro turning evil, that's also kind of Spider-Man's fault, because it's like, you know, when they have the showdown in Times Square when they first meet each other, and it's like that was all fine, but then when they take him away to prison, I was like, oh well, obviously now Spider-Man's going to go see him in prison. He's going to sort of help to like rehabilitate him and all this. Nope. Nothing whatsoever. He just goes off and goes back to dating Gwen Stacy, which he shouldn't be doing anyway. Meanwhile, Electro's getting tortured and he's like, oh, I'm going to get Spider-Man for sending me here. And I'm like, this is your fault, dude. You know the guy's got super electrical powers that he could very easily turn evil, and you're not even going to like try to get him on side and help him?
Jeez.
Like, don't you know that he could just come back and take it out on you?
Just interrupt though.
Sorry, I'm ranting again.
That's all right. For me, the biggest problem was that it just felt like it was more interested in building the world as opposed to building Spider-Man too much. Like, there's all like, I think there was a reference to Black Cat. Like, they actually have an actress playing. Yeah. What's her name? Felicity. I don't know. The cat, the person who becomes Black Cat or whatever. I thought, what is the point of that? Just like, you're just basically toying with or like teasing the Spider-Man fans, the really hardcore fans.
Yeah.
That like, hey, we got all these references. We're gonna have these in future films.
Well,
I don't know.
You better get used to that, because I have a feeling Dawn of Justice is going to be exactly the same.
But that's one of the things I like about Man of Steel, and that it had all these references, but it didn't shove them in your face. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like, a little subtle Wayne Enterprises symbol, okay. A subtle symbol to Brainiac, okay. A symbol to Aquaman, okay, sure. Like on the oil rig, okay, that works. I don't need someone to say this character is this, and 1 in 4 people in the audience are going to understand who it is, or I don't know. Then again, I guess you could say that for Man of Steel, but some are more obvious than others.
But I like the way that the Green Goblin was played. Yeah, but it was
Dane DeHaan.
I mean, I suppose everyone's already said this. But I mean, the problem is the motivation for none of the characters. Like, they just didn't act like human beings would act under those circumstances. It was just insane, man.
Yeah.
But apparently Sony's they're actually considering like canceling the next Spider-Man, because it's clearly not going the way they want it to go.
No, you're right.
But I think I've mentioned this to you before, but you know how, like, I've said to you before, like, I never really used to be a Captain America fan, but Winter Soldier made me a Captain America fan. Like, I've never really been a Spider-Man character. A Spider-Man fan. I got nothing against Spider-Man, but I'm still waiting for that movie to come along that makes me go, yeah, he's cool. I've never really gotten it. You know, I think we spoke about this before, but at this point, with what Sony's doing, like, I don't know what they could do to get someone like me on board. Like, unless they did something radically different, like they did a Venom movie without even Spider-Man in it, just about Venom. Like, that would get me interested. Yeah. But I don't know.
I don't know. But the problem is, if they do that, well, now you're interested in Venom. And if Spider-Man's not in said movie, then you're just caring about the villain, not the hero. So
yeah, well, they might. Is he in Sinister Six, Venom?
I don't know, or care for that matter.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure. Maybe he's one of those guys who sort of comes and goes from the team. I'm not sure.
But just to backtrack a bit, there was one scene in Godzilla. I'm kind of curious. What did you think about it? Remember the one scene after Godzilla kills the first Muto, and the building collapses on him, and he becomes face to face with Aaron Taylor Johnson. What did you think of that scene?
The Muto. where the Muto
Yeah,
looks
after
at Aaron Taylor
Godzilla.
Johnson.
What?
You mean the bit where the Muto is looking at Aaron Taylor Johnson's like, "You killed my babies." That bit.
No, it's when Godzilla, he's on the ground, like a building collapsed on Godzilla, and he's face to face with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Was that Death Fake Out 1 or Death Fake Out 2?
Death Fake Out, Death 1. Death Fake
yeah.
Out 1, yeah.
Which again is stupid, like, because who thinks Godzilla is going to die in
Wait,
like
Death
the first
Fake Out
Godzilla
1,
movie to be made for so long? But yeah, I don't know. I think look, I'll try to say something positive about it.
Dude, it's all right if you hate them. If you don't like the movie, you don't like the movie. I'm not going to sit here and drag on you all day.
Yeah. But one thing I will say is, like, I could see that quite often they were deliberately trying to sidestep the cliches of, you know, the Godzilla genre and that type of genre, and like that was appreciated, but they did have to occasionally step in one or two cliches, and I think that was one of them. So it was just
what?
like, oh,
Which one?
The bit where he like looks at Godzilla, he's like,
Death Fake
"Oh,
Out?
you're dying, Godzilla." Oh, like that was a sort of
I don't know if that was like
cliche.
he was dying. I thought that was just like, hey, I'm tired. It's been a long night. You're tired. It's been a long night. I don't know. I thought that was just, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. I mean, like, you couldn't really do that with, you know, the older Godzilla films. And I don't know. And it was a nice, like, you know, close up on his face, which you didn't really get throughout most of the film. So
yeah. Well, I mean, it's I
don't know. I just thought it was something
really
like, I was like, hey, that looked kind of unique. So
yeah.
But going back to Spider-Man.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know. That just occurred to me. I was like, wait. There's one more thing I want to talk about Godzilla. But going back to Spider-Man. But yeah. Another complaint I do have about Spider-Man 3, and this doesn't really have much to do with the film, and I think everyone said this: the marketing. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh man.
There were like 50 trailers for this movie, and each one shows something different. So I'm like, well, look, if you keep showing something new in each trailer, I'm not going to have much to look forward to in the film. And
you know, I wonder if you could piece all that together, if you could actually pretty much make the whole story of the movie.
No. Someone did that. Someone on Dailymotion took all the trailers, made, like, I'm not kidding, 26 minutes of the film. Like,
wow.
Like what he thought at the time was the proper order of the film, using only trailer clips and stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my god, wow, this is marketing done horribly wrong. Oh, well.
That's right. Oh dear.
Like, there was a trailer just to show that Gwen Stacy was going to die. I'm like, what are you doing? This is supposed to be the big surprise, the big twist or whatever. Don't show it in a trailer.
Yeah, but apparently for Spider-Man, that's the equivalent of, like, Bruce Wayne's parents dying. You know? So, like, anyone who knows anything about Spider-Man is like, yeah, Gwen Stacy died.
Yeah.
But apparently, from what I understand, they also missed the point of what that was. Because apparently in the comics, she doesn't know, Gwen Stacy, she doesn't know that he is Spider-Man. So when she ends up in that situation and gets killed, it is directly his fault. But, you know, in the movie, she, like, shows up and she's like, this is my choice. But the whole point of why it affects Spider-Man so much is that it wasn't her choice. You know, but anyway. I guess they were trying to find a way to juggle, like, the warning of the cop father with her dying and how that would work with Spider-Man, and it was tricky. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there was probably a good story in there somewhere. Just it got, like, muddled down by just everything stupid. Really. I mean,
that happens so much now, doesn't it? Like, they just try to throw so much stuff into a movie, and it's like, look, you're not the Dark Knight. You know, you can't have all these different layers and make it work. Even Christopher Nolan has only been able to do that like 2 times in his career and actually make it work, like in Memento and in Dark Knight. Every other time he's tried to do it, even he can't do it. So
true.
Yeah, like I'm fine with going back to a more simplified, streamlined story where you can actually be invested in what's happening.
That's what you even said. Like, Godzilla kept it simple, and that's what kind of helped it. So
yeah, I suppose in that way.
I mean, like, well, look, nothing crazy. Just Godzilla's here, 2 giant monsters. stuff.
Yeah. Like we keep cycling back to Godzilla. Well, I
I don't
suppose
know.
that's true.
But yeah,
Like,
I see what you're saying. Like that's
you were
the
never
problem I have
confused.
with like that. This is Hollywood's big problem is that there's such a I don't know what is with the need to be so needlessly complicated. Like it
Mm.
doesn't constitute for a better film. It just makes everything so much more muffled and just
I
confusing
think
to the
it's
audience.
just
That I don't know.
I think it's just that's the trend that happens. You know, like a movie comes out and it's
Yeah,
groundbreaking, and then there's a period after that where everyone tries to copy it. Like you remember when
yeah,
Matrix came out, everyone was trying to
yeah,
do the slow mo bullet time, and then like
yeah.
Jason Bourne came out with the shaky cam, and then everyone copied that. I think we're on the tail end of the multi-layered Dark Knight story, and I
Yeah.
think that's starting to run out. Hopefully,
Well, right now we're also experiencing the Alice in Wonderland style-esque of stupid movies. Ugh.
really, like what?
You know, like Alice in Wonderland, Snow White and the Huntsman,
Oh
uh,
yeah, I haven't seen any of those, so I wouldn't
Oz
know.
the Great and Powerful,
The
Maleficent. I
Twilight
don't know
formula. Is that what you mean? Like the Twilight
what.
formula is taking over everything?
No, not the Twilight films. Like the you know Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know that's kind of sucks.
Yeah.
um, there were a bunch of films sort of in that kind of style, like Snow White and the Huntsman,
Yeah.
Oz the Great and Powerful, and recently Maleficent. So
Maleficent, yeah.
yeah, I was just sort of going in with your like trend thing you were talking about. So
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them because, like, I'm not a girl and I don't have a
yeah,
girlfriend, so I don't need to see it.
you heard it here, folks. Bandit Incorporated does not have a girlfriend.
Oh, gee, surprise, surprise there. But,
Don't worry, don't worry, I don't have one either.
but
Surprise, surprise.
like, I was thinking though, like, talking about like trends that sort of come up and then go for a while. I'm actually hoping that Guardians of the Galaxy will kick off a new trend. You know,
What's that?
because you know how Guardians of the Galaxy, it looks like it's super imaginative, it's way out in space, and it's like
Yeah.
creativity overload. Like,
So like
but
a new
in a
way,
good way.
so like a new way of science fiction, basically.
Yeah. Like
Oh, that'd
hopefully
be
the
great.
Star Wars movies will have that fun kind of adventurous vibe out in space. And there's a couple other movies coming out that, yeah, if Guardians of the Galaxy is successful, hopefully we'll see a round of movies like that.
I hear
Which should be good.
I got a couple. Yeah,
Mm.
that'd be exciting. Yeah.
It's
No,
not
quick
long
question. What do you
until
think of
Guardians comes out.
Ultron? Like his first look.
Yeah, I think he looks fantastic.
I do like his robot army behind him. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and they all look like him, don't they?
Yeah. They
I
kind of
suppose that
remind
makes
me a bit of the Sentinels, but who knows?
Mm. Mm.
I mean,
Yeah, 'cause,
hopefully they're not, like the Sentinels, but we'll see.
I guess it makes sense if they all look like him too. 'Cause if he's like a computer program and how it just copies itself. So
Maybe.
if they look the same, it sort of fits in with that.
I mean, I kind of hope they don't all look identical to him. I kind of hope that they each like not like an individual look, but they sort of look like almost like a rank lower or something.
Yeah, I'm sure like they color them differently, or maybe they're a little
Colors are
shorter,
different,
or
maybe a little
something
shorter,
like that.
yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I've heard
That'd be neat.
some people say maybe the premise is that Tony Stark has sort of built Ultron as a way that, because he gave up being Iron Man, so he's doing that so it can sort of take over the role of Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like I've heard maybe that's the reason as to why he goes about and builds it, because you remember in Iron Man 3 he's got his house party protocol where there's like 50,000 different suits come in and they're all autonomous.
Yeah.
That's pretty much Ultron, really, when you think about it. So maybe he's like, I'll take that idea, take it up to the next level, and then we've got like a whole army of Iron Mans, and it becomes Ultron. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's still, that film's like less than a year away, so we haven't even gotten a trailer yet, so or a teaser.
Apparently, Tony Stark has, I don't know if you ever heard of it. At one point, he got bleeding edge armor, which I wasn't sure what that was. I had to look it up. Bleeding edge armor. It's where he basically, his suit is made out of like nanotechnology that can actually be stored inside his body, like inside his bloodstream, and like he can just manifest the suit on top of him whenever he needs it. And I was like, that's really cool, but it's probably too advanced for Tony Stark to come up with like at the moment cinematically. Yeah.
From what I also hear, apparently, Tony Stark and the Hulk will probably fight in the movie. So based on all that concept art, so
yeah, it's
that'll be exciting.
Whether Tony Stark's in there or whether like Ultron gets control of that suit to take out Hulk.
Maybe.
Yeah. But either way, it should be a good fight.
That'd be cool. I mean,
Hulk's apparently going to be dating Black Widow.
Hulk is dating Black Widow?
Yeah, apparently. Because I thought she was dating Hawkeye, because in Winter Soldier she had the little necklace with the arrow on it. So I thought maybe
I've heard one theory that she's apparently with Falcon, but I don't
know. That'd work. He was pretty cool.
I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, I for me personally, I kind of hope. Look at us talking about who ends up with who now. What is this, Lost?
Yeah, talk about that.
Hopefully, hopefully this one doesn't have a bad ending, though. I kind of hope she ends up with Captain America. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I think apparently in the comics, like it was sort of one of those things where they kind of got together, but then they realized it doesn't really work, so they just sort of split up again.
I don't know. Maybe.
But they did kind of have a little bit of a vibe in the Avengers, didn't they?
Yeah, and in Winter Soldier, obviously. So.
Yeah. Oh no, I meant like Hulk and Black Widow in the Avengers.
Oh, Hulk and Black Widow. Oh, I thought I meant Captain America.
He's like, hey, I almost killed you.
Yeah, Hulk and Black Widow. Yeah. Well, there was that one.
Sorry for trying to kill you. She's like, that's all
right. Captain America gets another new suit. What do you think of that?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
I mean, it has has like a red thing behind the star, and I think you look on the sides, it has an Avengers symbol on it. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
they're all independent Avengers now, aren't they? Because Shield's
he's gotten a new suit with every film now that you think about it.
Yeah, I like that though.
Yeah, true.
I like that though because you got to have a new suit.
Yeah, true.
And I think also Winter Soldier, the all blue suit was to draw the difference between like him as Captain America or him as an operative for Shield to like show the distinction. So now that he's kind of doing his own thing just with the Avengers, he's like full on Avenger. I guess it makes sense that he's like his suit will look different again. Who makes his suits? like he just shows up with a new suit, but I don't know who makes them. They're pretty
maybe Tony Stark built it for him. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. He's just like the go-to fix for any question. Oh, Tony Stark.
Maybe. Though I am curious how much of a role Tony Stark will have in it. Like, because apparently Robert Downey Jr. said about a month and a half ago he finished all his scenes. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like for filming, so I don't know.
Should be good, but no doubt.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, I mean, Joss Whedon's behind it. He was talking a lot about sort of a lot of the influence and inspiration. He was saying that I think it was The Godfather Part 2 as his sort of big inspiration for the film, or what he in the sense that he was saying that he can't assume that people have watched all the Marvel Cinematic Universe films. He just has to assume that people have watched the Avengers, or hell, not even watched the Avengers. They're just going into this and with a fresh pair of eyes or something. So we'll see what he does.
I guess that's something they constantly have to think of now, isn't it? Because like as the universe gets more complex, there's always the risk that you might lose people that are coming in sort of later on. Yeah.
I mean, I can't just. I mean, I would assume that everyone who saw, everyone who saw the Avengers hasn't exactly seen Thor, Captain America, but I don't know.
Yeah. But apparently the way they've structured all their movies is like there's more than one movie being filmed at one time.
Yeah.
And like whatever the director is, he might not know what's happening with the others. So in a sense, the Avengers movies are kind of their own thing. Like other movies might link into them, but it does seem that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, obviously, they would have it mapped out where it's like, okay, we want to do this, 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 in this film, so it'll have this effect on this film. So
Mm.
I think they got it calculated. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's exciting times to be a
Yeah.
Marvel fan. It's a heartbreaking time to be a DC fan, but it's an exciting time to be a Marvel fan.
That's true. I don't know. What else? Anything else we should talk about, or?
I think that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know.
And I got
Any other?
let's see, we've probably got like 2 hours of recording here now.
Yeah. Probably an hour and a half.
Do you want to sign off then?
I must say though, I'm actually excited to watch Ninja Turtles now. It actually looks. I don't know. I'm excited to watch it now.
Yeah, that last trailer got me a bit more into it.
I mean, it doesn't look like it's going to be uber serious. It looks like it has some of the, comedic aspects that what makes the Turtles Ninja Turtles. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Actually, I because I'm going to do a video with a different YouTuber on Ninja Turtles, so I don't want to say too much about it because I want to save it for that video. He actually messaged me here on Skype just then.
Anyway, so what are you just going to talk about? Like, what could make it good, or just the history of what are you going to talk about it with? Or do you not want to say? It's all right.
Figure it out. We're still going to figure it out, but yeah. But I will say because I was part of the original baby gangsters of the Ninja Turtles. I was part of Generation 1 the very beginning when it started. I was one of the kids that would run home from school to get back in time.
Yeah.
But I know some of that Generation 1 crowd are like, oh no, Michael Bay's going to ruin it. I don't really care because it's kind of for some reason, unlike with DC, my feelings towards DC, for some reason with Ninja Turtles, I feel like it's untouchable. It doesn't matter what they do, it's never going to wreck it in my mind. Yeah,
well, that's the thing though, because a bunch of people are still say, oh, this film will be crap. I sit there going have you watched any of the other Ninja Turtle films ever? They weren't exactly cinematic gold to begin with, so I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like Godzilla.
Hey!
They were never cinematic gold either.
No, you hate on Godzilla. Here, I'll hate on Man of Steel next time. Yeah.
Oh, well, I have a feeling Dawn of Justice might ruin Man of Steel for me. But I will say, Godzilla though, that has made me like Pacific Rim more. Because when I saw Pacific Rim, I was like, oh, it's just a dumb action movie. But now, when I was so disappointed with Godzilla, I watched Pacific Rim the other day, I was like, yeah, this is more fun. It's
I only question
ugly
Pacific Rim. Why is it always
syndrome,
raining when they fight? But I don't know.
It's probably to hide the CGI mistakes.
Make it rain, damn it! It's oh god, I remember I was watching before I watched the new Godzilla. I watched Godzilla '98. God damn it, that film! Every scene where Godzilla appears, it's raining. I'm sitting there going why is it raining?
Well, that definitely was to hide the bad CGI there.
Bad CGI. I don't care. There was better CGI in the '90s. I don't know.
That came out after Jurassic Park. And it
looks worse that was the worst part.
Park.
Well, they took about all the... They copied Jurassic Park when you get right down to it, if you look at the film carefully.
Yeah. Except they, copied it in the worst possible way.
That's true. Well.
Oh, dear.
What else?
So, you want to...
Okay, what film are you looking... one last thing. What most anticipated film are you looking forward to after the summer's over?
After the summer's over, or just during the summer?
The fall season of films or whatever.
I'm not sure if it fits that category, but I'm really looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy. But that's out in a month. So
I meant stuff I'm looking forward to Interstellar. So.
Oh yeah. I'd forgotten about that, but I'll definitely see that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm getting Transcendence flashbacks from the trailer, though.
What?
I'm getting Transcendence flashbacks when I look at the trailer for that, though.
God, Transcendence. Ugh. All right, what would you say is your least favorite film of the summer?
Probably the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
For me,
I'm going to be hated on for saying that. But...
I don't know. Maybe Transcendence. I don't know. Wait, did that come in April or May? I don't know.
I'm not sure, but yeah, that was not that great. Transcendence. Yeah.
I'm thinking like, I mean, like, there could have been something cool here, but like, it just felt so like, oh, come on, this was done like, 20 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. But with Transcendence as well, like, they do the whole thing of like, oh no, we thought he was evil, but he was actually a good guy, and it's like, well, he didn't say what he was doing. It's like, he wanted to heal the planet. If he just explained to people, this is what I'm doing, no one would have a problem. But because he didn't, he's being all mysterious. You're like, oh, he's this crazy, evil, artificial intelligence that wants to take over the world. So it's like, he could have just said, this is what I'm doing. But terrible movie.
Yeah, Transcendence. Okay, yeah, that's my least favorite. Or maybe Transformers. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Transformers as well.
But yeah, I think I'll just end it off here.
Okay, man.
I'm out of say. All right, this has been a joint effort. Movie Mania podcast number, I don't know, 6,
4,
minus all the ones we didn't actually put on YouTube. So, yeah, that's a neat story to dig up one day. So yes, nerds across the Pacific. I don't know, whatever you want to say. Anyways, this has been Captain JJB84 and Bandit Incorporated, and I hope you have a nice day. So,
Likewise.
adios.
Bye.